threatening a young man during a traffic stop.
He and his friends were ordered out of their car and then put in handcuffs. They were never arrested, though. Fox 9's Jonathan Cho following this story for us tonight with more on the investigation.
Kelsey, the men inside the car are of Somali descent and say they were racially profiled, but they're also raising concern about simple police etiquette.
It is. Come on out.
When officers ordered him out of the car, this young man hit record on his smartphone. And here's what he captured.
Plain and simple, if you fuck with me, I'm going to break your leg before you can get a chance to run. Be honest. I don't screw around.
Who said I was going to run?
I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm trying to be officer friendly right now.
17-year-old Faisal Muhammad, seen here sitting in the back of the car, is the one who sent me this video, which he also posted on his Twitter account. Initially, he agreed to an on-camera interview, but changed his mind and felt more comfortable telling me what happened. The other guys felt the same way. Muhammad says on March 18th, after playing basketball at this YMCA on Blaisdell Avenue in South Minneapolis, police pulled over their car. The four men were all ordered out, put in handcuffs, and they waited nearly 45 minutes as police searched their vehicle and did background checks.
Can you tell me why I'm getting arrested?
I feel like arresting you.
Officers eventually told them they were suspected of stealing the car and let go without being arrested. Muhammad and his friends are of Somali descent and say they felt racially profiled, but also say the officer was simply disrespectful for no reason.
Do me a favor, guy. Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
We sent this video to Minneapolis police. A spokesperson is only saying the incident is under investigation and
it took for a Hennepin County jury to convict former Minneapolis police officer Christopher Ryder of third-degree assault.
You don't kick a guy in the face when he's on his hands and knees and a threat to no one.
In May of 2016, Ryder, who is spotlighted here, kicked Muhammad Osman after he got out of his vehicle. Osman suffered a broken nose and a traumatic brain injury that has impaired his vision, among other things. The video of the incident was the key to the case.
Oh, I think it's critical. People are so used to seeing things in video that, frankly, they believe the video a lot more than they believe the lawyers.
Ryder appeared in another surveillance video in September 2014 while still on the force, kicking a gas station attendant in the chest. The city of Minneapolis agreed to a $100,000 settlement in that case, but that was not part of this week's trial.
We charge based only on what they did on this incident, and that's all we can present to the jury, and that's the correct thing to do.
Now, Mike Freeman conceded it's rare to gain a conviction in a case involving use of force by an on-duty officer. Nationwide, in fact, the conviction rate for officers is only about 28%.
Minneapolis police officers caught on camera berating police in Green Bay have now been fired. They were in Wisconsin back in June when they reportedly got into a street fight. When Green Bay police broke up the fight, they recorded the Minneapolis officers using racial slurs and making derogatory remarks about their boss.
We have a lesbian chief. These dudes are doing their little monkey thing.
The two officers were suspended but are now off the force. They can still fight to get their jobs back by filing a grievance with their police union.
Here's the video a witness uploaded from Minnehaha Regional Park. It shows two teenagers handcuffed by Minneapolis Park Police, an agency that works under the city's park board. Park Police Chief Jason Ojado says his department prides itself in keeping the city's parks safe.
I'm sorry that this video has undermined that to some degree, and we're going to work very hard to make sure that we restore that trust.
The chief says around 7:30 last night, his officers responded to a 911 call that described four males with knives and sticks. The caller said they were carrying out an assault. The chief adds that the caller told 911 that one of the males said he had a gun in his backpack. Within minutes, officers arrived.
One park police officer did unholster his firearm and pointed in the general direction of the four suspects. The four suspects were handcuffed and detained at the scene.
But police say they did not find any weapons on any of the four boys. In fact, the chief acknowledges that the 911 call was inconsistent with witness reports. Police are investigating whether the caller was lying, which would be a crime.
So we have questions, serious questions, about the information that was provided in the 911 call.
In the Facebook video, the witness describes a much different scenario. She claims a white teenager was taunting the four black teens before police arrived.
was threatening these kids with a knife and coming at them with a garbage can, calling them the N-word when we passed by earlier. And cops come and they're arresting the kids, apparently.
Many community members have asked why an officer drew a gun on 4 unarmed teens and then handcuffed them. The chief says the officer simply acted on the information from the 911 call that indicated weapons.
I'm sure that information played a critical role in the officer's decision making.
Police say all 4 boys between the ages of 13 to 16 were eventually released.
We again want to assure you that the safety of our children and our youth, in fact all of our people in our parks, is of paramount importance.
And park police say the officers remain on duty after their preliminary review. Police say they've been unable to contact the 911 callers so far, and I just want to give our viewers one more note. We decided to blur the faces of the teenagers because obviously they're juveniles, they weren't charged with anything, they weren't even actually arrested. That was a decision we made. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Danny.
Videotape part of the incident last Tuesday night at Minnehaha Park. It shows the boys handcuffed and on the ground next to a squad car. The next day, the chief of Park Police questioned the validity of the 911 call. Today, as Angela Davis shows us, the boys said the incident started after someone shouted racist comments at them.
When I was at the park, I was just trying to have a good day with my friends, and this white kid just came up to us saying racial slurs towards us.
14-year-old Aiden stood with his mother and 2 of the other boys detained by Minneapolis Park police officers last week. Police say a 911 caller described seeing the boys holding knives and sticks and that she heard one of them say he had a gun in his backpack.
When the cops came, they just pulled guns to our faces.
He told me to get down, and then he handcuffed me, and then he picked me up. He slammed me on the ground. I was scared that one was shaking, and I was scared that he was gonna shoot me.
Park police officers searched but found no weapons on the teenagers. They talked with witnesses who backed up what the boys described, a man who was taunting them.
I was scared. I thought that would be my last day of this world.
The local leader of the Council on American Islamic Relations is disturbed by the way Minneapolis Park police officers handled the situation.
While the gun was drawn by a police officer, it was obviously noticeable to the young man that he was trembling, which also showed the fact that this incident could have become, unfortunately, extremely tragic.
The boys' mothers today described through a translator how their sons are now afraid to leave their homes. Minneapolis Park Police say they have not been able to connect with that 911 caller for further questioning, but they are still investigating this case, and so is an independent investigator. Making a false report to police is a crime. And, you know, the park police chief and the president of the park board met with these families to apologize, and they are trying to still get more witnesses to come forward to provide more information for the investigation.
Hopefully they find the caller and get to the bottom of it.
That would be good.
All right, yeah. Thanks,
Hands
Angela.
of police. We're learning more about the woman shot and killed in South Minneapolis late last night.
My mom is dead because the police officer shot her for reasons I don't know, and I demand answers.
That video was posted on Facebook by the victim's fiance's son. KARE 11's Ivory Hecker is live at the scene with what we know now tonight. Good evening, Ivory.
Rena, that is correct. This location on the sidewalk is where the shooting happened. It's 51st Street here near Washburn Avenue. This is the previous location where there was a pool of blood. You can see activists have come here and instead written in chalk the names of other people killed in police-involved shootings. You can see right here someone wrote something about the woman killed last night. It says, "A loving woman, spiritual healer, a light to everyone." This is a location that's been frequented often by neighbors today who are trying to figure out what led to the officer-involved shooting.
Didn't hear a shot, didn't hear anything.
Brad Dugdale lives a few houses down on Washburn Avenue. He had friends and family over last night. He says the party was dismissing and friends were driving home about the same time the shooting happened.
There were dozens of cars by midnight.
BCA officials say the shooting occurred after someone called 911 about a possible assault. BCA also reports 2 police officers showed up to the scene and 1 officer shot a woman.
When officers responded, an officer-involved shooting occurred, which resulted in 1 adult female victim who is deceased.
We couldn't sleep, because you're really just wondering what was happening.
Janet Flood Cole kept an eye on the scene from her home down the alley.
The investigators with, their kits.
The BCA says the officers' body cameras were not turned on at the time of the shooting, and the squad camera did not capture the incident. Investigators are trying to see if any video of the incident exists.
Last night, our neighbors over here had a wedding reception in their backyard, so it's very community neighborhood, so to look out our window and see a crime scene unit investigating was really quite surprising.
Neighbors say the woman lived in this neighborhood and that she was originally from Australia. A vigil has been organized in her honor and in her memory to take place right here at 6 tonight. It's being organized by Women's March Minnesota and the Minneapolis NAACP. Also, in about 15 minutes, Mayor Betsy Hodges and the Assistant Police Chief will hold a press conference to talk in more detail about this officer-involved shooting. Rena?
Tonight, we are learning the names of the 9 Minneapolis police officers who shot at a man who they say was armed with a rifle during a confrontation on the city's north side. This happened on Sunday.
Fox 9's Hannah Flood joins us now to break down what we know about those officers with some new details, Hannah, that begin to paint a picture of what may have happened early Sunday morning.
Hey, Randy and Amy, the report released by the BCA says 8 officers shot their firearms. 1 officer discharged a less lethal weapon. The report also revealing new details on what Chiashir Fongbang might have been doing moments before he was shot and killed.
9 Minneapolis police officers with the range of experience on the force, from 15 years on the job to 6 years on the job, now all placed on standard administrative leave. One of those officers, Jason Wolf, was also named in an incident back in August where police shot and killed another man who they say was armed. The report released by the BCA also giving us details about the moments before Vu was killed. The report says Vu was carrying a knife and shooting a gun inside his home on Thomas Avenue around 3 o'clock on Sunday morning. When police arrived, Vu was still inside. They were able to contact him by phone and through an interpreter convinced him to come outside. Investigators say Vu briefly came to the front door, but went back inside, grabbed a rifle, and started shooting at police. That's when those 9 officers shot back, killing Vu. The report also says one family member was inside the house while all of this was happening. That family member was not injured, but was later taken to North Memorial Hospital for an unrelated condition.
A Minneapolis police spokesperson tells us the disciplinary records for those 9 officers will likely be released tomorrow morning. The BCA report released this afternoon came just hours after a local organization filed a lawsuit against Minneapolis police for not releasing those officers' names and other information related to this shooting after they had submitted a public information request.